Jeannie Jammer here again, and today we will be coloring some boiled eggs as well as making some Easter cupcakes. Now, as you can see right here, I will be using these candy markers so that I can color the eggs without having to worry about any harsh chemicals or anything bleeding through the shell. And while these will bleed through the shell color-wise, as it shows it is candy markers, so they are edible and shouldn't cause you any problems. And back here, we have our little bunny chocolate mold and our Hershey's Special Dark Chocolate, which I may or may not have already eaten half of this chocolate bar, but things happen. We've got some spice cake mix, which I'll be using for the cupcakes. I used chocolate or dark chocolate last time, but this is what I already had. So it's up to you what recipe you use, but this is what I'm going to use. And we will be using these as our decorator items. And as you can see on the picture there, it's kind of like a garden bit. We'll be doing something similar. We'll be using those for our cupcake cups, because that is unfortunately the closest I have to what I used before, which was some brown ones to help represent dirt. But those are at least green, so they won't be too far off. And we'll be using the icing and tinting it green for grass. And we have robin's eggs as well. So we'll be putting a chocolate bunny on each one, and depending on the size of the robin eggs, of how many I have the right size, probably 3, maybe less, maybe we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. So that's the basic of what I'll be doing. I will be putting in photos of the eggs instead of actual video because that just works better for me. Sorry about the shakiness of the camera. I don't have very good equipment right now to use, so that's the thing. And I'm going to be using the icing bags, as you can see on the table. I'll be using it not only for the chocolate, but also obviously the icing, and actually the cake mix as well, to put it in the cupcake cups, because it makes it a little easier to actually get it in there without making as much of a mess. Alright, I will start with melting the chocolate and putting in the mold, and I will get back to you on that part to show you a bit of how it's done. Alright, now it's time to make our chocolate bunnies. I have put the chocolate, after melting it, in an icing bag, and now we will start filling out our bunnies. I don't plan on making too terribly many of these right now because, as I may have said earlier, I have possibly eaten half of that chocolate bar. So we'll just see how many I actually managed to make. Here. We'll smooth these out in a minute. Let's put the chocolate in this one too. And it's up to you how big of a hole you cut. I may be overfilling these a little, but I find it safer to overfill them a little and just move the chocolate than to completely underfill them, depending on what kind of pattern you're after, at least, or the mold. But once you're done with this, you'll want to go over with like the back of a butter knife and smooth out the chocolate so that you get a better finish to the back of it. Unless you don't care, and then, you know, you do you. But this is the Hershey's chocolate that I melted. I used a special Wilton melter, which I actually used the pot, the ceramic pot, which you put in the microwave, and you put the pieces in there, and you microwave it for about 30 seconds. And then you stir it, and then you do that again for 10 seconds, stir it 10 more seconds until it's to the consistency you want. And like I said earlier, this is a special dark chocolate because, well, for one, I like dark chocolate, and it's what was the easiest to get my hands on. So This bunny may not work. Oh, no. I think I can use a butter knife and make that work the rest of the way. Alright. I will smooth these out, put them in the fridge for at least 30 minutes to an hour to get them working, and I'll show you the result later. Alright, now it's time for us to fill our cupcake cups, which I double the cupcake cups because it just makes it easier. And if the outside one gets dirty, you don't have to worry about it. You can just use the inside one. Now, I'm using an icing bag again because I like being able to do it this way because I feel like it usually would come out a little cleaner, but it also varies on the moment and how careful you're being, because I have still made quite a bit of a mess before, even using one of these. There we go. Then obviously you want to let the drips go so that you don't make a mess. I like to kind of do it in a little bit of a spiral. Try and even out, keep the cupcake cups from bending in a weird way, like they seem to like to do sometimes, which is obviously very, very unhelpful for making actually round cupcakes. I'm about done with this one. I've got more batter than this. Just didn't want to put too much in this one. Right, so let's put the rest of this one in this real quick. And then I will come back to you after I have finished making the cupcakes. Alright, now it is time to show you how to finish the cupcakes. Now, I took this one and I cut a bit of a slice in it so that we can put the chocolate bunny in here and not have to worry as much about it moving. And it is a little melty because I've had it out for a bit, but it's still got its basic shape, and that's what's important. Alright, and now we are going to use our green icing that I've already colored, and you'll use a grass tip, which is also a Wilton tip number 233 is what I'm using. And we're gonna turn this for a moment because you want to make sure you get the back too. And I'm not super great at doing the grass, but I could be worse. It kind of varies on how you want it. But you want to make a little bit of a base first before you pull up. Oh, it's getting a little messy, but like I said, I'm not super great at the grass. Get back here real quick. There we go. It's not the fastest thing ever, but it really doesn't matter too much because grassy hills are kind of messy anyway. So if you make a bit of a mess with it, it may just look more realistic to some people. It really depends on what you're going for on it. Getting a little messier. Gotta clean the tip off a little. There we go. And you want to make sure, it's usually better, in my opinion, to get the outer lines first. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to go back and deal with them later. And if it smudges a little, it's not the end of the world because you can always do a little touch-up as you go. It can be a little hard to get the edges, as you see. I'm kind of letting it go a little more. On there. And you go for the center too. But make sure to do it near the bunny because you don't want people to actually see it pierced into the cupcake. Yes, that might look a little strange to some people. Almost there. Let's patch this spot up a little. Alright, that'll work. And it's not the best angle of the camera, I realize, but again, not the best equipment. And now I'm going to take 3 robin's eggs and put some little eggs over here. This is our finished cupcake. And obviously I got a little icing on the poor little guy's mouth, but it happens. Okay, in this part we will look at the eggs I colored with the candy markers earlier. And we have first a blue and green striped egg, which is honestly one of my favorite of them. If you use the candy markers, I'm not sure if they actually dry completely in the long run. So I didn't test it, but you might want to give it a day or two and try and get them to dry. But just make sure you put them in the fridge because they are still eggs. So you don't want them to go bad or anything. It is a bit messy, so you will want to clean up afterwards because it will get on your hands if you're not careful. I found that a scrub brush that you usually use to get things out from under your nails will work really good to help get it off your skin. My second picture here, I tried to do a bit more of an intricate design, but there is a big spot on it that's much more faded. Unfortunately, that's the part I put on the paper towels, and it decided to take away the color from that. The third, it's kind of like a tie-dye thing, and like this one and the striped one are my favorite of the group. The next one, I did a little better with the patterning, and I realized that the black marker likes to bleed green a little for some reason. I don't really know why, but eh. Next we have, the top is yellow, so it's kind of supposed to be like a sun, and then the blue sky and pinkish red flowers and grass on the bottom being green, of course. And then the very last photo was actually the first one I did, which I'm still relatively pleased with, but I would say the best looking ones are definitely the tie-dye like one with the blue, red, and yellow, and the blue and green stripe. Just keep in mind, you might want a stand or something if you want to get it colored without getting it on yourself, and that you will need some more time to dry them if you want them to not make a bit of a mess. So, up to you what you do, but have fun!